this is a very hot button topic here. A lot of people have very strong feelings about this big news, and we're talking about the Gina Carano Disney settlement. Okay, so let's dig into this thing and give you guys a full rundown of what happened. Now, we do have our side scroller showdown happening, which allows you guys to chime in, and a lot of you guys have been chiming in on this as we've been going on. But let's actually get the true story of all this. Now, this whole thing started a long, long time ago. Let's go to Deadline here. This is the headline. This really is the way. Gina Carano pile drives Disney over Mandalorian firing with settlement and job offerings right here. This is obviously a big deal. This has been an ongoing story for the better part of 4 or 5 years because, well, I'm sure I'll go into it in the story. It says, ahead of a September trial date, Disney and Gina Carano have put down their lightsabers over the former MMA fighter's more than year-long discrimination lawsuit over her 2021 firing from The Mandalorian over political postings. In a joint filing today in federal court, the ex-Star Wars series star and the Bob Iger-run conglomerate asked for the there's so many things going on in the sentence here, backed legal action to be dismissed. So what you need to know is that Carano was suing Disney and she was backed by Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk came in and said, I will cover your court costs, right? With the company clearly bending the knee here. There's a statement right here. Judge will have to sign off to the request, but this is the de facto done and dusted in the galaxy far, far away here at home with a distinct win for the openly conservative Carano. While no specific details of the settlement have been revealed, like whether she's getting a rebel shock. Man, there's so many stupid Star Wars crap. Whatever. Okay. Whether she's going to be getting her role back in this or millions in damages she was seeking, Disney and Carano clearly are back in business. To that, a source close to Carano told me she is, quote, happy with how things were dealt with. And she posted, the truth will set you free. And then she had another post a little bit later on that said this right here. I've come to an agreement with Disney, Lucasfilm. And by the way, this is all carefully crafted by a lawyer, by the way, 100%, which I believe is the best outcome for all parties involved. I hope this brings some healing to the force. I want to extend my deepest and most heartfelt gratitude to Elon Musk, a man I've never met, who did this good Samaritan deed for me in funding my lawsuit. Thank you, Mr. Musk, and X for backing my case and asking for nothing in return. To my lawyers, blah, blah, blah. I'm humbled and grateful to God and his love and grace in this outcome. I'd like to thank you for your unrelenting support throughout my life and career. You've been the heartbeat that has kept my story alive. I hope to make you proud. I'm excited to flip the page and move on to my next chapter. My desires remain in the arts, which is where I hope you will join me. Yes, I'm smiling. From my heart to yours, Gina, right here. And you can see kind of, this has been an ongoing discussion online, and they talked about this is the statement from Disney. Says the Walt Disney Company and Lucasfilm are pleased to announce that we've reached an agreement with Gina Carano to resolve the issues in her pending lawsuit against the companies. Ms. Carano was always well respected by her directors, co-stars, and staff, and she worked hard to perfect her craft while treating her colleagues with kindness and respect. With this lawsuit concluded, we look forward to identifying opportunities to work together with Ms. Carano in the future. Okay, so you have both sides speaking out on this. They're both giving you the nice, for lack of a better word, company line here. The very detailed and flushed out side of this. There's been a lot of response to this. Let's start with you, Vera, first and foremost, because I'll give you my thoughts on this in a minute, but when you first saw this, Vera, what did you think?
There's not a sorry in sight from Disney. I understand that they're not sorry, and I'm really happy to see that the situation has been resolved for someone like Gina because she has fought so much over the past couple of years. She's been attacked and slandered so many times over the past couple of years, primarily because of Disney's actions. But at the same time, while she won Disney didn't technically lose. Disney throwing money at an issue is just another day that ends with a Y for them. And they feel now, I would assume, pretty emboldened by this action. I don't think that they're going to hire her back. I don't think that they're going to allow her to do that series that she was originally supposed to do. And I just feel like this wasn't a big win for us.
Okay. Joining us now, Dean, how are you?
I'm solid. How y'all doing today?
Good. Hey, do you have any headphones by chance?
I don't have headphones that are connected to this. Is it
Okay.
killing us?
We got a little echo, but that's okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Phoenix in the middle is going to be working on some stuff, so we'll deal with the
I
echo
see
here in a
Phoenix
little bit.
frantically moving around.
That's okay. That's
throwing up
okay.
gang signs
Scatter!
Well, Dean,
and horrible gestures toward me.
no worries at all.
Now
Yeah,
thumbs up. It's a W.
yeah,
I'm sorry,
he'll get us all squared away. Well, Dean, we were just talking about the Gina Carano
Congratulations,
lawsuits.
Gina Carano. Ass
Yeah.
whooping.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think she should have never been fired to begin with. I think it was a double standard, and I think justice is being served. God bless her.
It's been really interesting to see there's been a lot of people are really happy, and there's also people who don't quite, I'd say they're not upset, but they see this as a loss in the big picture, if that makes sense, right? It's this idea that this is just Disney throwing money at a problem, making it going away, whereas a lot of people who feel like justice truly wasn't served in this situation, and they would have liked to seen this pushed a little bit further, potentially going to Discovery or something like that.
Oh no, Disney would not allow Discovery. That is not going to happen. They paid so they don't have to go through Discovery. I think ultimately the person who makes that decision is Gina Carano, and I think she probably made the right decision, probably the same decision I would have made. Bless her. For being out, thrown out of Hollywood, so to speak, for posting what she posted and doing what she did off a Star Wars show. I mean, it's an awful situation. So she has been harmed financially and reputationally, and I think it's good for her. You never would have gotten the Discovery out of Disney, I don't believe. So I like that it's a step in the right direction. I hope she gets financially compensated well beyond her needs, and then let's move on and not do this crap anymore.
You obviously have a lot of history in Hollywood. You're openly conservative, which is like a big no-no in Hollywood, it appears, right?
Now you tell me.
Does this do you see this as a win for like just almost a landmark settlement, or you think this will continue with specifically when it comes to, I'm not going to say openly discriminating, but there's clearly a double standard when it comes to the things that Gina Carano put online versus somebody like Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, there's no question. It's the same reason that they took and they banned President Trump off of Twitter. It's censorship. It's a little bit more soft censorship, but certainly it's censorship all the way. And I hope this sets a precedent that says if you do this crap, it's going to cost you, and it's bad business. It's illegal, really, to take somebody for their political opinions. She wasn't causing harm or asking for violence against somebody or a group of people or anything of that nature. She was saying, what you do, this is reminiscent of what they did in Nazi Germany. And when people are screaming that the president is Hitler and that ICE agents are the Gestapo, well, I mean, are all of them getting thrown off their TV shows or their jobs or whatever? No. So I hope it sets a precedent, and this rot, this way of thinking gets cleaned out.
Game Hunter Sirius came in and says, "Great, Craig. Question: What is Discovery?" Good question. So, in any sort of lawsuit, what you need to know is that at a certain point, if it's going to go to trial, both sides have to more or less open up their books and make everything available to both sides. So emails, private communication, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what Discovery is. So at least in the U.S. court system, everything gets laid on the table so everybody has access to more or less everything. So the reason why Discovery was such a big deal in this idea, or at least getting to Discovery, in this would have been you would have been able to see whether or not Bob Iger or Kathleen Kennedy was having conversations with producers about, oh, I can't believe she said that. We need to get rid of her, or whatever it may be, right? So that's what I think a lot of people were hoping for in this situation, which obviously never got to that point. So the great Dean Kane joining us today here on Side Scrollers. Always awesome to whenever Dean joins us, which is great. All right, let's get back to the Gina Carano conversation. I'll tell you where we left off was simply, I don't know. I'll kind of put my tweet out here because this is how I feel about it, and I don't know. I mean, like I said on X, I said I'm all about Gina's fight, and I clearly don't know the details of this case. So there's definitely something that I'm missing. But please fill me in. Wasn't the idea that she was going to fight this to judgment, hopefully on the way of getting through Discovery? And, I asked people to kind of walk me through what I'm missing on X. And for the most part, a lot of people just said, yeah, I agree with kind of what you're saying. And I'm not really saying anything outside of just I had a misunderstanding as to what I thought the goal of this was. It wasn't to settle, but it was to kind of go all the way. We heard Dean talking about that, the idea of it was never going to happen. And I do agree, but I guess I kind of naively hoped it would here. Am I alone in that?
No. I think we were all hoping for that. We were hoping for a fighter. If you remember, everyone really made her this iconic hero, and that's not necessarily her fault. That everyone put her on this pedestal of the new champion of a new industry, all this other stuff. So this just feels like a letdown, whether that's her fault or not. But I certainly felt let down.
Well, right. How many times is somebody as large as Elon Musk going to sponsor a lawsuit against one of the largest companies in the entertainment industry?
Right.
Not very often. So you need to kind of take it as far as it can possibly go, at least in my opinion.
I think that for me is where is that? You had an unlimited bankroll, right? Literally the richest man in the world is funding you. So settling to me doesn't seem like as big a win as I hoped it would, right? For the bigger cause. To be clear, I am ecstatic for Gina. If this is what Gina wanted, amazing, right? But maybe I guess the perception of this was that it was going to be a larger fight, and she was going to be fighting all the way to the end here. And I probably missed something along the way in there. Maybe I missed, I'm positive I missed something. But if Gina is happy here and she can move past this, which I'm sure was an extremely hard time in her life. I mean, you're going against one of the biggest companies in the world. I mean, I get it. I guess it's kind of I'm happy for her while also being disappointed.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree because I feel like Disney didn't lose even though she won.
The response to this has been interesting over on this. Now, Blabs, you said you had multiple takes on this.
Yeah, I do. So I agree. It's hard to. I got 3 takes basically. One, her lawyers knew that she couldn't win, so they're like, let's just settle it. This is the best outcome for us. And so they went with the settlement. 2, the stress and everything was just too much, and at the end she was like, I'm tired of this fight. It's going on for years because Disney was dragging this out. And so she was just like, I'm out, I'm done, I'm gonna get paid off, and that's it. But 3, I'm very much disappointed because I thought she was gonna go to the very end and we were gonna be getting that Disney Discovery. I really wanted that Disney Discovery, and it shows because they did the settlement that there was a lot of stuff. Or again, back to 1, they didn't have a case and the best thing was a settlement. So yeah, I'm very conflicted on this. I don't really see this as a win for the Disney fans. It's a win for Gina if she's happy for it, right? If she's happy for it, then yes, it's a win for her because it's her settlement, right? It's not our settlement. It's not our lawsuit. We had nothing to do with it. So yeah, I feel like Disney kind of got away with it because they gave some corporate bullshit response. They didn't really get an apology. She's never going to work for them ever again. I kind of question if she's still going to get work in Hollywood because her name is so tainted. And even though she got that settlement, it doesn't really say a whole lot. And again, she was pushing for this whole let's make new stuff, creativity, build something new. And that really hasn't happened yet. So she kind of disappoints me a little bit in this way. So lots of thoughts.
James,
Yeah.
James says you're assuming it was unlimited bankroll for Elon. They never said they never ever would have let it get to Discovery. Yeah, I mean you're probably right. Elon, I don't think Elon ever said he would fund it forever, ever. Right? This is true, but I think there's an assumption that when the richest man in the world that has literally billions and billions and billions of dollars. Like you spend, let's just say, even hypothetically, at most $50 million, $100 million on that. I think it's a noble cause for Elon. And there's good and bad. We talk about this. Like nobody's perfect in a situation like this, but I just wish they would have followed through to the end. And that's kind of where my disappointment is with this, because wouldn't it have been great to have seen the emails of Iger talking to Kennedy or Kennedy talking to Favre or whoever, right? Saying, look, we can't have this. That's ridiculous, or whatever type of communications that would have had. Now, once again, the likelihood of that happening, next to nothing. But I think that when you have an unlimited bankroll, or at least the backing of somebody who has an unlimited bankroll, this was as closest to a chance you were ever going to get to that.
Yeah.
And I think that's where kind of my naivete is striking most.
Also, that Disney statement that they put out where like, oh, all of her coworkers and directors loved working with her, but then none of them ever spoke out when she was fired, at least not publicly, right? So it's like,
Right.
what a load of waffle, Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's see what the internet was saying about this. This comes from that Star Wars girl. She's been on the show before, and said whatever was in those emails were so bad that Disney would rather apologize to Gina Carano and pay rather than reveal them to the public. Let that sink in. This is 67,000 upvotes here over on X, 2.3 million views. As this is pointed out, it says, I didn't see an apology. Right? Did anybody see?
Nope, there was no apology, just Disney saying, we look forward to working and all of our co-stars love her.
Gary came in and says, justice for Gina Carano. Lucasfilm has certainly changed its tune about her. Still, she deserves a public apology from Kathleen Kennedy, which, once again, no, I didn't see any apology. Maybe
No,
I totally
there
missed it.
wasn't. As far as I'm aware, there wasn't.
Okay. This guy responded, says, so the mouse is paying out some money. That's nothing to them. They didn't have any embarrassing public discovery. They had to admit they had to admit no wrongdoing and no public apology from Kathleen Kennedy. Disney won. Gary responded, says, yeah, seeing them get dragged through the mud like those rats deserve in Discovery would have been nice. Like getting the Epstein list, it was never going to happen. Doing a 180 and putting out a statement makes them look weak. That's the best we're going to get. Massive black guy, and Star Wars has been a shit brand since they fired her. They didn't win. And this guy said, if Gina is satisfied with the resolution, that's really all that matters. Yeah, this was, her fight, her life, right? So a lot of truth in that. Now,
can I interject real fast?
Yes, please, Phoenix.
So one of the things like this to me was not surprising in the least. I'll try and do this really, really quickly. So there's been a ton of articles around February 6th of 2024 from Variety, Hollywood Reporter, CBS News, Entertainment Weekly, where you kept seeing this same kind of sentiment being said over and over again. So from CBS News, this is a quote from the article. Carano is seeking compensatory, I can't say that word, damages
compensatory, yeah.
Thank you, to be determined at trial, and a court order that should be recast on the show. She's also seeking punitive damages. IGN, some of the remedies Carano is seeking in the lawsuit include being rehired to play Cara Dune with no loss of pay or benefits, And I can keep going. There's quote after quote about this court order apparently claiming that she wanted to be recast. Now, unfortunately, all those are quotes from the articles, but I can't actually see the court order that directly states that. And then finally, in May 6th from IMDb, there's another article This is a quote from it. Speaking at a recent convention panel, Carano assured the attendees that she is still open to returning to the Star Wars franchise despite the lawsuit. And finally, Screen Rant, again, a quote from that. According to Carano, there is no malice in her heart towards Disney. Speaking at a Fan Expo Philadelphia panel, she discussed whether she'd be willing to work for Star Wars again, and she insists she has no ill will towards her former employees and would be happy to return. In fact, Carano claims that she only started to speak out because she wanted people to know what was going on. My point out of all this, and again, unfortunately, there's no direct video or quote of her saying this, so take that with a grain of salt. But to me,
Right.
this is in conflict with this hero status that everyone was putting Gina in, at least from my perspective, of someone that was a champion to build a new industry. It really seemed like that when she was doing interviews around the time of her firing, that's what she wanted to do. She wanted to be producing movies. She wanted to change the industry and how it worked. And then it appears right around the time that she wasn't doing that great, that we get this lawsuit, and then over and over again we're saying, I want to be recast. So this was not surprising in the least, that it was, okay, I just want this over with and I just want to work again, whether it's for Disney or for someone else.
Right, because initially she had basically said that she was willing to put a target on her and her career in order to fight for other actors who are also going through something similar. And I don't necessarily blame her for settling. We're talking about Disney here, right? Maybe she
Right.
was internally told by Elon Musk's team, they're willing to give you this statement and apology and ultimately money, so you should probably take it. We don't know all of the details. And if she is comfortable with it and she's happy with the outcome, then that's great. And ultimately that is what matters. Though I just think that what she started with and the stance is not the same as how it ended. So I think that that's why a lot of people are feeling a little bit let down at this point, not necessarily mad at her, but a little bit sad that we didn't get more out of this, because it did seem like she had unlimited funds from Elon Musk's team. That was, in a lot of people's opinion, the opportunity that kind of we all needed versus Disney.
Here's the question I would pose to everyone real fast is, if let's say
Sure.
she does return to her role as Cara Dune, do we view that as a win?
I don't want her to.
I don't either. So that's two steps backwards for me, but I'm just
So
curious.
the problem that I have with that is that ultimately it's still making money for a scummy company. So I think that people would be happy and would watch what she's in, but she's still making profits for Disney, and Disney has not changed at all in the past several years.
This is, I guess the best way I could describe it is, when you were growing up and you got in trouble with your parents, right? And I've used this line with my kids as well, because I've been in a situation, but you get in trouble and you're looking at your parents, and your parents are you think they're just going to go off on you, right? And they say, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. And I think a lot of people feel that way right now. I'm not upset with you. I'm just disappointed that it happened. And to be clear, a lot of that probably has to do with the unrealistic expectations that we had in our brain here. This idea that, oh yeah, she's going to take Disney down. She's got the richest guy in the world backing her. She has an infinite bankroll, and she's going to go against the mouse, and we're going to see these emails. And then you don't. So that's where the disappointment comes in.
Yeah,
said,
I mean, maybe
happy for her.
Maybe she did just want back in Star Wars. Maybe that's all that she truly and actually wanted, and she's potentially getting that. I personally do not buy Disney bringing her back. I don't think that that's going to happen. Though they're saying, maybe we could find an opportunity to work with her. I think that's BS, but maybe that ultimately is just what she wanted, is back in Star Wars. That's at least how it looks at this point.
Star Wars needs a win, though.
Because ultimately, I as an individual would never go back and work for a company that treated me that way. I mean, look at what Johnny Depp's stance has been. I know that there's been rumors and reports that he's going to come back, but at this point, there's no confirmation of that happening, even though there are rumors, and he's, stood his ground at this point in time. And even in that situation, it'd be great to have him back. It would be great to have Gina back, but ultimately it's still a scummy company that's profiting off of these people that at one point they wanted blacklisted from the industry, and they tried to ruin the careers of. Why you would ever trust them again is beyond me.
I think that's a fair point. I think it's a very fair point. Now, look, I'll tell you, let's get to some super chats, and then we'll get to the reaction of this, because there has been, like, as you would expect, people freaking out over this. And I would think that we're having a pretty sensible conversation about this, right? I'm sure some people will get pissed at us talking about this and looking at this from, somewhat from a moderate stance, trying to see both sides. But there are a lot of people out there who are flipping shit over this reaction. We're going to get to that in a minute. But Karate Werewolf says it's understandable that many wanted the lawsuit to go to discovery, but Gina just wanted her career back and put all this behind her.
Yeah, but then
Do you
again,
actually think she's going to have a career? I don't
Yes.
think she's going to have a career after this, really.
I think she will. I think this is a
Hollywood
great.
just pick her up again?
I think that there might be certain companies that would be more willing to work with her now. But again, I just don't see Disney ever putting her on the big screen again. I just don't see them doing that.
We should take a bet.
No, go on, Phoenix.
No, I'm saying I think we should take a bet. I say they do. I say they absolutely 100%. Star Wars is in bad shape right now. This is big PR right now. Huge PR. They didn't even have to apologize for it. They even went out of their way to say, and again, of course, that's PR speak that they're going to maybe get her in something. I understand that. But I actually wouldn't be surprised if they make an announcement very soon. I wouldn't shock me.
Another problem I have is look at the actors that Disney employs. They're all
Insane.
raging, leftist lunatics. They're not going to want to work with her. They will boycott. They'll say, I'm not going to work in a project with her. So that's the problem that they face is what about the other actors that they already employ? Like, you're never going to see her on screen with a Pedro Pascal ever again.
Well, also to go on that, because why I'm saying I don't really see Hollywood ever bringing her back is because, let's say, look at Team Kane. He's been villainized and everything because he is right-leaning. Well, she's also right-leaning. So if I don't really see them getting all these conservative actors and actresses, a lot of them are really quiet if they are, right? They don't say anything for the purpose of actually having a career. So I kind of don't really see them, like, picking her up. I feel like small studios will do that, not like these big corporate ones like Warner Brothers and all these guys. No, like they won't do it.
Just really quick, just remember that there was that Pixar movie where they removed all of the gay content from it, all of it.
Yeah,
they just did that. They're starting to make some moves. So I'm sorry, Craig.
No, you wonder if this is a bigger part of Disney feeling the shift, right? The cultural shift, and they see where everything's gone in the last 6 months or so, and they're like, oh shit, we should end this because, for that reason alone. Like I said, we said this a million times on the show. These companies do not care about you, right? They have the people in leadership. They have their political opinions. They have exactly how they want to push that out to whoever, but as far as you go, they don't care, right? But they do care about the way the wind blows. And you see this all the time. So join the normal men. Hit that subscribe button right here and watch another video right here.